like my nails, I changed them again. This is a late video again, and I think once I get back into my regular routine, I'll be back to posting at 9:30 Japan time, which is I think evening for you guys, unless this time is okay. But it's not always going to be this time. I actually had a really hard time getting up. I've been feeling really exhausted and kind of just not feeling well today. It's somewhat of a girl problem, just the extreme variety. Today's worse than others, but yeah, so I thought I would do a chill video. And I will read you a post that I wrote a while back on my blog about my time as a student in Japan. So I live here now as a working adult, but I was a student here 7 years ago in university. Does that give somewhat of a hint for my age? You know, I made a community post. I don't think anyone saw it. About a Q&A. So if you have any questions for me, I might also just do an all about me video. But if you have any questions for me, it's on my community tab. So yeah, post them there. And I'll be able to make a Q&A video. So yeah, let me know. And what else? Yeah, oh yeah. So tomorrow will be the last day of every day for 2 weeks video, kind of pledge I made to myself, and in a video a while back leading up to my 1 year anniversary. So tomorrow's my 1 year anniversary on YouTube. Isn't that great? It's been a year. So yeah, I might just make a really long trigger video. Not that long. We'll see how I go with some of my favorite triggers. But yeah, kind of just to celebrate my 1 year anniversary. I haven't put any skincare on. I kind of just like woke up and brushed my teeth. I'll do that after. I've got like one appointment later, but I want to tidy up after this video, so do that beforehand. But yeah, let's put some chapstick on. I don't think these earrings were featured in my previous kind of jewelry video because I ordered these recently. They're handmade. They weren't expensive, but they're handmade earrings and they're so pretty. Got them recently. Let's put some tint. I'm wearing my strawberry dressing gown. I wanted to go for like a maroon. This isn't really a maroon. I don't know what color I ended up going for. I mean, I'm fine with it. It's a bit darker than I would have wanted. The nail tech said it was red. It looks more chocolate to me than with some sparkles on. So a bit simpler than last time. This one has a bit of a fruity taste. very slow today. I'm just so tired. Oh, look at my teeth. Okay. So this blog, I'll post the link in the video. But this is titled A Look Back on My Time in Japan, Chapter 1. So when I was a student, I wrote this when I was living abroad in the UK for 2 years, and that's kind of when I started my blog. I've kind of put my blog on pause for over a year now. It's not good. I need to start back up on it because it's just, I've had a lot going on the past year, and yeah, basically ever since I moved apartments, I put it on pause because I just got so busy. So I'm probably gonna do like a 1.5 year summary thing with all the highlights, because there's no point in doing a really the sound of the rain. That's weird. Okay. So I start off this post with a little blurb. Of course, with my ADHD-ness. I'm always apologizing for being late. Okay, so this is part one, chapter 1. It will be my first month in Japan, where I was living in Tokyo with a friend who graciously let me stay in her apartment. Part 2 will be my 4 months living, studying, and working part-time in Nagasaki. And part 3 or 4 I put here. I think I ended up having 6 parts. So it will be my hitchhiking, backpacking trip around Japan, and what was my final month of 6 months living here. Okay, so are you ready to go down memory lane with me? In part one of my look back at my time as a student in Japan. Okay, little memory lane. Okay, so I was excited beyond belief. A little bit like corny. Oh no. Yeah, a little bit corny in the beginning. I was excited beyond belief that I was finally going to go live and explore Japan and be away from home for the first time. It was the first time. I was also super nervous. The preparation to study abroad was pretty intense for someone who had never done it before, and for someone who had never gone through the paperwork of visa application, passport renewal, and getting all the documents together for the study abroad application itself. Once that was settled, though, it was just the wait to be able to go. I purchased my departure ticket to be on 29th February 2016. I wrote this in the British format because I was living in the UK, like British format of dates, which I thought was pretty cool since it's not every day you get to fly on a leap year. About 6 months prior to this, I had met up with a close friend of mine who was about to leave for a year to participate in the JET program. And she, we'll call her Elle, invited me to stay with her for the month of March in Tokyo to sightsee and hang out before my study abroad program would start in April. And of course, I took her up on it. In the days leading up to my departure, I really went all out and planned my own going away party with all my friends and had the best time with an escape game, archery tag, and a poutine party. The BF, who at the time was just a friend, met up with me beforehand and helped me pick out a bunch of Canadian souvenir type things to bring with me to Japan so I could give to my homestay family. It was a fantastic day and very special, so I had no idea that on the day I was set to leave that one of my closer friends, my other close friends, A and the BF, planned to sing me a going away song at the airport. This tidbit may be a bit unnecessary in the nostalgic walk down memory lane, but it's just a part of what made those 6 months some of the best times in my life. I still regard that time as just still one of the best times of my life. It was just such a fun half a year. Anyway, enveloped in jitters and excitement, I boarded my plane to Japan to start my journey, or as the Japanese say, tabi. Cliche, I know. I flew into, because the blog, sorry, I don't know if I explained that. The blog is called Dani no Tabi, because Dani is my nickname in general, but also in Japan. And no is a possessive, and tabi means journey, so Dani's journey. Oh no, my other. It was a cheap little thing I bought, but my other light has turned off. I'll charge that later. Okay. I flew into Haneda Airport, which is quite central to Tokyo, and I then found myself squeezed into a sea of evening commuters on the metro. Unfortunately, when I got off the metro and proceeded to take the escalator out of the station, I dropped my suitcase down the escalator, and one of the wheels broke, which made walking around Tokyo a tad difficult. At that time, I hadn't realized that there was free Wi-Fi pretty much everywhere in Tokyo, and while trying to find my friend's apartment, I got lost for about an hour. It was pretty funny, and I wasn't too worried, to be honest, but I did feel bad to be keeping my friend waiting. I found a payphone to try and call her. I think the only time I've ever used a payphone in my life, to tell her what was happening, but I ran out of change while on the call. After a while of walking around and trying to follow Google Maps offline directions, I found a Koban, which is a small police station, and gave the police officer the address that I was trying to find. The police officer was very kind and accommodating and pulled out a map to show me where I was and where I was trying to go, which actually wasn't too far away. I was walking in circles. He then copied down the address on a big piece of paper with some instructions and hailed a taxi for me, since he figured it was late and I should just take a taxi, which I didn't mind. I got to my friend's place in no time at all and settled myself in. So, the first 2 weeks in Tokyo. In my first few days, I took out my Japanese textbooks to prepare myself and brush up on things to be ready for classes at my university in Nagasaki. And because I was planning to be staying with a homestay family that could speak no English, well, being that I am pretty much the queen of procrastination, those collected dust pretty fast. At that point, I hadn't actually been diagnosed with ADHD, so I just thought I was just an intense procrastinator, which I mean, I guess I am. Since it was a small apartment and I had a suitcase and a big travel rucksack with me, Elle's sister advised me to just send it to my homestay to be stored there in the meantime. The Japanese postal service is amazing, and although my suitcase was pretty big and heavy, they had no problems with shipping it to my homestay in Nagasaki the same day. Elle's neighborhood was quite cute and quiet and super pleasant to explore. It was pretty suburban and away from the hustle and bustle of central Tokyo, which I greatly appreciated. Since Elle had work, I often explored on my own and was able to borrow her sister's bike to further acquaint myself with the area. One of the days I borrowed her sister's bike, I rode to Arakawa River, which is a bit redundant because Kawa means river, but which is a huge river just outside central Tokyo. I brought my textbooks along and thought I would spend a quiet afternoon just revising next to the river. I didn't. I instead rode the bike along the river and took everything in. There were other people there on runs, some guys practicing skateboarding, and an old man playing the saxophone. When I finally got around to sitting down and opening up my textbook, a friendly old man walked up to me and with a big smile on his face asked me what I was doing there and why I was in Japan. I told him and we had a pleasant conversation, at the end of which he handed me a bag of something from his garden. I think basil, and then told me to enjoy Japan. I didn't exactly know what to do with this bag, so I just gave it to Elle's sister, who had been doing most of the cooking in Elle's place, to include in whatever dish she was next going to make. In the following days, I did all the typical touristy stuff in that I spent an entire day at one point just walking to and around central Tokyo and taking as many artsy photos as I could manage with my old phone. I explored around the Tokyo Sky Tree, perused Sunshine City, definitely made sure to check out all the Ghibli and Sailor Moon items I could find and get a spectacular view from the 59th floor. The place has 60 floors, but you have to pay from the 60th, and I'm not about that life. At the end of my first week in Japan, I made my way to an Airbnb hostel where I'd be spending the next 4 days. This place was pretty interesting and my first real hostel experience. Everyone there was really friendly and I became quite close with my roomie, who was the embodiment of a stereotypical German woman in that she was tall, pretty, had long blonde hair and sky blue eyes. She was in Tokyo for a mini vacation from where she had been staying in Hokkaido and basically just wanted a change of pace. We exchanged stories, shared a few laughs, and went sightseeing together. We were both fans of anime, so we decided to check out Akihabara. And since neither of us wanted to go to one alone, we decided to go to a maid cafe, and boy was that an experience. Firstly, I keep thinking that I have lipstick on my teeth, which wouldn't be a surprise. Firstly, it was super expensive, so props to the girls who work there because they probably make a ton of money. But it was also just very awkward. And okay, upon reflection, they probably don't make that much money. It probably just goes to the owner. But because just, I don't know how those things work, I imagine. But yeah, it was still very expensive. But it was also just very awkward. The maids put on a performance and called us Master, Goshujin, and refused to take any orders for food from us unless we put our hands up to our faces like cat paws and said, nya, nya. Awkward. Afterward, we did the very cliche anime couple thing and went to ride a pedal boat at Ueno Park. It was a very silly but funny day. In the following days at the hostel, the roomie and I explored Shibuya Crossing. The neighbors are being not as loud today, but still a little bit loud. Okay, the Hachiko statue, the National Museum of Nature and Science in Ueno on a rainy day, and went to a Pokemon Center where I purchased a little Charmander souvenir for the BF. It was definitely a very cool little pocket of my time in Tokyo. Oh, my tummy. I haven't had breakfast. I ended off my first 2 weeks in Tokyo. My apologies. I ended off my first 2 weeks in Tokyo by visiting the Imperial Palace and exploring the Royal Gardens and going to the Ghibli Museum. The Ghibli Museum was beyond impressive, and I definitely teared up a bit to be there. It was so cool. We weren't allowed to take any photos from inside, but it was like being transported to another world. On top of the museum was a life-size statue of the robot from Castle in the Sky, the Sentinel. I think that's how you say it. And inside the museum were all these cute little bits from the movie and a mini theater where you could watch original Ghibli film shorts. There's also a lovely gift shop with so many beautiful, oh my tummy, shut up. Okay, there's also a lovely gift shop with so many beautiful items like illustrated postcards. I purchased a lovely illustrated postcard of the Ghibli Museum during the day, which I inevitably misplaced. I'm terrible, I lose everything, which is still very true. Shut up, tummy. You're okay. You'll eat later. You'll get food later. No, you'll eat. I'll eat. And the tummy will get food. For my second 2 weeks, I met up with a Japanese friend whom I had met in Vancouver, and we went for a day trip to explore Kawagoe, also known as Little Edo. I say day trip, but really it wasn't until I got there that I realized that Google had lied to me when I searched best day trips from Tokyo, because as lovely as Kawagoe was, it wasn't worth the day trip because it was so small that it could be done in an hour or two. It was really quite funny, to be honest. It was very pretty and had loads of old-style architecture from the Edo period. hence where it got its nickname. But there wasn't all that much to do and a bit expensive to get to, so after a couple of hours of walking around and trying to make our money's worth of the train ticket to get there, we decided to head to the next biggest spot to explore. I'm sorry, I thought filling up on coffee before filming would have been fine, and then I'd go eat. But my tummy is very persistent. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up, shut up. Not you. Okay. Yokohama was definitely very fun and vibrant, and the Chinatown there was great. We snacked on a bunch of samples and enjoyed the pretty night lights of the area. It was certainly a day with a lot of contrast. The next day was great because because Elle and I headed to Taiwan. Elle managed to get a week off, and so we thought, why not explore Taipei during that time and get a little break from Tokyo? I, unfortunately, did not know the geography of the city too well, and I booked the Airbnb. I had proofread this, but this sentence doesn't make sense. I had booked the Airbnb with it being too far from the center of Taipei city, hence too far from any convenient connections to explore outside of Taipei. Plus, we went right in the middle of rainy season, so it was a bit difficult to do any fun outdoorsy things. Yeah. We still made the most of our time and had a lot of fun. We ate at a few night markets and tried a lot of food, explored the area near our Airbnb, visited a cafe that was owned by a family friend of Elle's, and went to the National Palace Museum, which housed tons of historical artifacts from China. It was pretty grand. Even though we spent the last 2 days of our trip sick in bed, I'd still go back to Taiwan again to explore more of what the country has to offer and try more of the food. Yeah, I really want to go back. I haven't been back since, yeah. Hopefully, at some point, once I save more money. So, last week in Tokyo, plus 1 night in Fukuoka. I spent the majority of my last week in Tokyo just chilling, really, and preparing for my departure to Nagasaki. Although I did go with Elle and her sister to do some lesser known. It just doesn't want to shut up. But I'm almost done the vlog. Alright? Oh my goodness. Clearly, I need to go have a bite, which I will. Okay. To do some lesser known sightseeing in parts of Ginza and did the obligatory visit to the Tsukiji fish market to taste the delicious array of food, as well as some egg on a stick. Good stuff. The last bit of sightseeing that I can remember for that week was in 2 really interesting parts of Tokyo that not many people think to visit when they explore the city. Well, this was back then. It seems to have gotten a lot more popular now. Known as Yanaka and Nezu, these 2 neighborhoods make up what used to be Tokyo Old Town and have really kept their old-timey style. Walking through these neighborhoods felt like taking a trip back to the Showa era of Japan. And walking through the Yanaka cemetery felt very mysterious and cool. I gotta be honest though, as pretty as these places were, I mostly remember them because of the delicious beef korokke, which is a croquette, and taiyaki that I had there. I'm sorry if my stomach is distracting. Oh my goodness, I don't feel that hungry. It's just being a pain in the butt. Okay, 10 out of 10. I'm only in part 1 of my nostalgia blogs, but I'm telling you now that I basically ate my way through Japan. Yeah. So it was my final night before heading to Narita Airport for my flight to Fukuoka, and what did I decide to do? Laundry, except Elle didn't have a dryer, and the weather wasn't warm enough for my clothes to be dried fast to pack them up, and I'm not sure what exactly happened, but I think I broke the washer or something, because for some reason the water didn't drain, so it wouldn't have mattered if she had a dryer, because my clothes were soaked. Oh, this is like you're getting a little taste of how Danny is, and what the little of me, speaking in third person. My apologies. I think I've been watching. I rewatched Brooklyn Nine-Nine recently, and Terry always refers to himself in third person, but yeah, the weirdest crap always happens to me. Okay, so With only an hour to go before I had to be out of her apartment, Elle was asleep, and I had decided to just not sleep that night since my flight was so early and I had to leave her apartment at 5 a.m. I wrung the clothes out as best I could, packed them in the new suitcase that I purchased in Taiwan to replace the one that I sent to Nagasaki with the wheel I had broken on my first day in Tokyo, and was off. Elle's place wasn't far from the train station, and I arrived 20 minutes before the first train of the day, so I decided to go grab some breakfast and use the toilet at the nearby 7-Eleven. Many convenience stores in Japan have 2 floors. Well, I feel like this isn't as true anymore, but back then it felt to be true. And a seating area, so it's really, I think maybe this is mainly true in Tokyo. Anyway, oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Okay. I have 2 floors in the seating area, so it's a really nice place to just chill for a bit if you're waiting for a train. A bit dramatic, but I'll never forget this day for the sheer amount that happened in a single morning. So I said before that I thought I'd use the toilet before heading off the train, and I guess the first and only time in my life I left the door. It's such a pain. It's so annoying. I'm so sorry. My apologies. Okay. I left the door unlocked. I think that's still the only time I've left a public toilet door unlocked. Wow. A construction worker from nearby walked in on me on the toilet. I was on the toilet, because of course that happened. I screamed. He screamed. And then he awkwardly and for some reason slowly closed the door. I died of humiliation. Anyway, I finally hopped on the train to Narita with tears of humiliation still in my eyes, and also simultaneously laughing at myself. There weren't many people on the train, thankfully, but I'm sure I was still dubbed a crazy foreigner in the minds of the people that were on the train. Oh, by the way, I may not have kept a journal at the time in a technical manner of speaking, but I did have a daily journal in the form of me texting the BF every day. Just true. Again. Yeah. And sending him long messages of what I did every day. Having him to confide in all the time definitely helped me to not go insane, especially that day, and especially since Japan is ahead of Canada, so he's still awake at that point. Once I arrived at the airport, I was to be greeted by the news that my suitcase was too heavy to be checked in, with having to pay an extra exuberant amount. Why, you may ask? Because my clothes were still freaking wet. Well, partially owing to that and the fact that I had accidentally purchased a heavyweight suitcase in Taipei. Oops. After some reorganization of my suitcase and bag, and him throwing out some things that I no longer deemed necessary to my life, I was finally able to be checked in. Rather late. Everyone was waiting for me. What can I say? I was a mess. That would not happen now. That would not happen now. They would not wait for me. Pretty sure I cried in my sleep when I finally arrived at my seat on the plane and passed out. It was a relief to finally arrive in Fukuoka, and the airport was so close to the main train station. It only took about 7 minutes to get there. I obviously got there really early in the day, so I walked around Hakata Station and explored the area before meeting up with the rest of the people who were part of my exchange program for the Nagasaki University of Foreign Studies at the hotel that they were to be staying at, and signing in to show that I had arrived. Now, I said they were staying at that hotel because, of course, I wouldn't be. But don't worry, this was my choice. Why spend the equivalent of $80? This is back when I was still a dirt cheap traveler. I'm not as much anymore because, my body, I don't think can handle it anymore. But why spend the equivalent of $80 somewhere when the true shoestring traveler way is to rough it up somewhere for little to nothing? It took a bit of searching, but I managed to find a family restaurant that was open 24/7 and not too far from the hotel, although sadly had no Wi-Fi. Left my pickle suitcase outside, yay for safe Japan, and headed inside for the night, where I did my best to study for the whole night. Ordered some food every now and then, and eventually passed out for a couple of hours. The next day, I met back up with the exchange group, boarded the bus to Nagasaki, and headed to the university to meet my homestay family, who I'd be staying with for the next 4 months. Spoiler alert, my homestay mother was about an hour or two late to pick me up, and I was, in fact, the last person to be picked up at the university. So yeah, the first of many reasons why my homestay experience was certainly an interesting one. And that's the end of chapter 1. And it's not even, I haven't even talked about my exchange yet. So, yeah, we're at 30 minutes. A little over 30 minutes now. Yeah, so let me know what you thought. I'll post it in the description, the link to this. And let me know if you want me to read another one, because I would be happy to do so. And I apologize for the grumbly tumbly. I will make sure that doesn't happen next time. Okay. Okay.